Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. Recently I played through Alan Wake again on the 360 and made a video about it. If you haven't watched that one then please do. It's probably the most effort I've ever put into a video, and we'll be discussing what happens after you finish Alan Wake, because there is actually two endings, and I think this may be something that most people don't know, but there is actually a second ending after the first one. So without further ado, let's just jump straight into it. So first you got to open up Alan Wake obviously and be on the main menu screen, and if you head down here to downloadable content, you'll see that there's 2 episodes that you can download. Now one very big downside to this is, for some reason, even though you can have it downloaded and installed, you need to be connected to the internet to be able to play this. Now I don't know if they actually carried this over to the new one and the remake. However, here on the 360 you need to be on Xbox Live, which is really stupid for a single player game. But anyway, my complaining aside, our story starts us off where the game ended. Alan has saved Alice and the town and finished his story. However, he was unable to save himself. With the story finished, Alan is forced to play out the story again, but it's not the same. He is in a dreamlike state. People are ghost versions of themselves, and some are even unable to mutter their lines.
Welcome to the...
Try the coffee. Just don't blame me when you fall in love.
Do me a favor, Sonny!
You continue along relatively the same story though. It quickly becomes apparent that it isn't the same, and something has gone wrong here, and Alan is now trapped in something else. Zane appears and speaks to us, which you'll remember from the first game, somebody who had also been taken by the darkness. Wherever he is stuck, he is still going to help us try and escape.
Alan, listen to me. Go no deeper.
What?
Focus. You're losing yourself.
He plays a much bigger presence here, and I really enjoyed this because I thought he could have had a lot more screen time in the first game, but they kind of didn't really give him that much, so I really enjoyed that they gave us these bonus episodes where he has a much bigger presence. Going along, we fight the usual baddies, but there is a much bigger emphasis on the horror aspect, with TVs playing live action shots of Alan talking and screaming, as well as eyes and mouths. It's really cool, and I feel like Alan Wake always had really that fine line between kind of going into too much of the scary stuff, and here, something that is an add-on, a free thing, they can really explore other things that they didn't want to add into the main game. And in saying that, I think that this game possibly could have half been made to actually be in the official game. Now, I don't have any hard evidence on that, but from what I've seen, it seems like that could well be the case. However, they decided to remove these things, and I think that Alan Wake was definitely better off for it. However, it's really nice that we get to explore it here. But don't get me wrong when I say that the story here follows the same as the original. It is quite a bit different, and it seems like wherever Alan is trapped, the world itself seems to be falling apart. Like multiple jigsaw puzzles thrown into one, nothing is quite fitting as it should. One thing they brought back was these words. You kind of see them at the end of Alan Wake, and I really like these because it kind of combines, parts of the story that is being written into Alan's nightmare, and I thought this was a really nice touch. They use it a lot more here, and I think it works really well here. I'm not sure if it would have worked so well if they'd used it a heap in the original game. A lot of familiar faces will also appear from time to time, but they don't play too much into the actual story, other than to push you along and give you some banter. Barry reappears for quite a lot of banter, probably a little too much at times.
I'm a figment of your imagination, just like pretty much everything else you see here.
For the most part, there's not much of a story, which is a little disappointing. However, as it being a bonus game, it's kind of expected, and I wasn't really expecting that they would give us a full fleshed out story here. The story seems to be that there are 2 Allans, one trapped here in the dark place that we are playing, while there's another one on the outside who continues to write for the darkness. Episode 1 ends us waking in Dr. Hartman's care once more, also showing that we are trapped in Cauldron Lake Cabin. Episode 2 starts us off in Dr. Hartman's care in his clinic, but it's a weird blend of Hartman and Barry. As Barry has been leading us along for most of this, it kind of indicates that maybe Barry isn't as he seems after all. And also being back in the clinic, it really amplified what the game kind of failed to do, which was when we were in his clinic, it was to kind of say that Alan may be crazy, and we never really delved too deep into that, with the obvious being that he wasn't crazy, and it felt a little unbelievable that the game developers would push the story that way. But here, being a bonus to the actual game, you know, it's well within the possibility of happening. And this is why I really like the bonus stuff, because you never really know what is going to happen. They could take it in any which way, and then at the end of it say, oh well, it wasn't canon anyway. So, you know, it really kept me on the edge of my seat wanting to go through the rest of this story. They also blended in the Andersons farm with this, and you have another fight scene kind of on a stage, but kind of not. It's nowhere near as cool this time, but, you know, it's okay. Now this next part we play everyone's favourite game, Only Up. Now, I did not expect Only Up to be in Alan Wake, and I think that it's probably good that they avoided it in the main game. I think that Alan Wake is not a jumping puzzle game, and that certainly shows playing through this part. If the intention was to ever add this to the original game, I am super glad they did not, because honestly, it just does not fit in the world of Alan Wake. Now, in saying that, I didn't think that it would get much worse after getting through this, but somehow it did. This part was truly tedious. After travelling through many of the sky islands and floating objects, crawling through tunnels, you come to a Ferris wheel of sorts, forcing you to run around like a hamster through rooms that are memories. At times it is very confusing about what it actually wants you to do here, and I got stuck on this section for a good half an hour. But finally you are led to the Room of Light where you can escape. I can kind of see the concept that they were going for with this weird wheel thing, however it just doesn't work. Like the jumping puzzle, Alan Wake is not a game that is very good at mobility and things changing and running up walls and all of that. So yeah, it again just really doesn't fit. The aspect of running through all the old memories though is a good idea, but unfortunately not well executed here. But there's still a lot of fighting to get done before the end. We fight across the bridge once again, just like in the original game, and then we have a few more jumping puzzles before visiting Dr. Hartman again briefly. The other Alan is with him and he's agreeing with everything that he suggests. And this scene was really cool, but it was also very brutal. They have a recording of Alice and basically she just lays into Alan, and yeah, it's really brutal and sad. And if my theory is correct that these are things that maybe they wanted to use in the real game, yeah, I think that scene was, yeah, a little too brutal for the real thing.
My life consisted of managing your never-ending crisis. I hate you for your childish temper and the arrogance and self-indulgent pride that...
We also have Alan wearing a TV on his head, indicating that the other Alan is in charge. Just like he's been speaking to us through the TVs, now he's speaking to Dr. Hartman. This was pretty cool again, but the thing is, all these little things seem to be away from Alan Wake as a whole. These are all things that I can't picture quite in that Alan Wake game, so it's really cool that we get to explore them here. But if these were cut from the original game, then I can see why, because it really doesn't quite fit in here. After all this, finally we come to the end, and this is definitely my favourite part of this whole bonus game, and I could honestly see this being in the real game. I kind of wish that it was in the real game because it is really nice. So if we remember the lighthouse that we were trying to get to at the beginning of the game, it's right here, and finally we have to run up this hill fighting hordes have taken, while the lighthouse is also taking them out along the way. Now what you have to do is go along and break the barriers so that the light can come through and take out these enemies, because there's just no way you'll be able to do it yourself. This was really cool, and finally we're getting to that lighthouse that we've been trying to get to. At the top we have one final boss fight. We have to fight Barry as well as the two Anderson brothers, and this isn't really that interesting of a fight, and I'm glad this sort of stuff didn't make it into the actual game because I think it's a bit strange. Then you enter the cabin, you find the other Alan who has been riding for you in your place. You kind of combine into one, but I think this was like a battle inside Alan's mind. So you're in front of the typewriter again, and Alan starts writing a sequel to the original. I thought this was a really nice ending, and I actually kind of like it more than the original. The original had a very dark ending. Even though you end up saving everybody, Alan still has to sacrifice himself to do that. And here we've got kind of a hopeful ending. Alan is still in there, but he is fighting the darkness, and this completely sets up a sequel, which obviously 13 years later we would get, but it's really nice that they set this up. I think it's a really nice ending, and even if we didn't get a sequel, it still would have left us with that hope. Alright guys, that has been our look at the 2 bonus episodes from Alan Wake. I'm super happy that I got to play these and that it continues on the story of Alan Wake. I like the aspects that they went into this, giving us the horror aspect, the jumping puzzles even though they weren't that good, the writing and word breaking thing, all stuff that I really liked, but yeah, it didn't really fit into the first game, so I'm glad that I got to play through it here. And we also got, in my opinion, a much better ending than the first one. I think that if they had wanted to go with that second ending, they would have had to stretch the game out like quite a while, and yeah, it wouldn't have fitted. So super glad that I got to play it here. But let me know what you guys think of this down in the comments. Is this something that you've played through? For me, I only just found this, so yeah, that was quite the surprise that there was actually 2 bonus episodes. I've not played through these before, but yeah, super glad that I actually found them. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Is the ending better? Do you think the original was better? And next time we're going to be looking at Alan Wake American Nightmare, because I have not played through that yet either. So hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you.